Once you start thinking freely, once you start expressing your views out of your thought, you have the next stage that asks you to express what you found correct, to express what you found wrong, to express what you felt you have to reject, and to express what you found you don't have to accept. And once you start expressing in different ways, by writing, in fiction, in movies, in songs, in whatever creative ways that you can, you have started expressing it. Then you see the next stage of suppression. The freedom of expression as an idea was not encouraged, but clearly discouraged by political systems, even the democratic political systems anywhere. So we have to write as a fundamental right, not only in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or also in the constitutions of many countries, including that of United States and that of India, that free expression is as important as thought. Also, I would say that the freedom of expression and freedom of thought would start from freedom of conscience. You understand things. You have a different thought. You have a different perspective than what is taught from your childhood. Childhood was full of a lot of fantastic stories given to you. You had no option but to believe. You are vulnerable and you have been still believing. There was no way to think about a different option in your life. The most vulnerable age that you all, or we all have been, sometime before the 10th year, you were already fed with a lot of stories and fantasies and faith and mythology by that time. A lot of values that are not necessary, a lot of traditions that were absurd, a lot of superstitions which could be easily debunked. You were simply told all these things and you were asked to follow all of them. Now you grow up from all these traditions and you start thinking and you start understanding things differently and you start expressing and you have a conscience now. You know that certain things are right and you feel and you're convinced that it is right. And that's where your conscience is formulated. Once you have your conscience, once you are correct in your observation, you should be able to practice, or you should be able to practice your life on the basis of the conscience that you have. You may be perhaps brought up in a Christian family. You may be brought up in a Hindu family or a Muslim family or a Parsi family or any other family. But once you think that this is not what I want, I understood it differently now, I want to walk out of it. That's where your conscience has an important role to play. You have the freedom to walk out. You can chase your conscience. You can follow your conscience. And freedom of conscience is one of the fundamental freedoms that every single individual in the whole world has to have and should have. Freedom of conscience. And the right to follow your conscience is so important. If you feel something is right, if you feel a certain way of life is the most valuable thing for you, if that's the core value of you, whatever it is, let it be even a religious faith, you should have the freedom to follow it. I'm an atheist. I'm not asking everybody to be an atheist to become a free thinker. If you are born in a Christian family and tomorrow if you feel that you have a different faith now, that's Parsi religion, and you want to follow it, go and chase it, do it, have that freedom, use that freedom. If you want to go to another religion, yes, if you are sure about what you want, do it, change it, decide what you want and follow it. You should have the freedom to do it. Any kind of faith that you want to have, you should have the freedom to follow it. Any kind of ideas you want to follow, you should have the freedom to follow it. If you have the idea to be out of all these faiths and to live as an independent person without the fear of any gods or demons or spirits, and well, it must be possible for you to live without any gods and religion and any other kind of oppressive imaginations. So freedom is a question of your choice, and choice is coming out of your freedom. So the fundamental idea of freedom is a call to follow your conscience and follow your conscience the way you want it. And that's the core value of human freedom. I would always say that anybody, any single person in the whole world want to have any kind of faith, let it be following superstitions. People should have the freedom to follow whatever they think right. No one in the whole world has the right to oppress anybody or suppress any idea or suppress any person because of the conscience that they have. If anybody is suppressed due to a certain position that the person has, that's not a free society. So freedom of expression and freedom of conscience comes very important in a civilized society. And don't be afraid about any modern society where even rationalists have full say. In such a society, absolute freedom of anybody to follow whatever they want, whatever faith they want, whatever belief they want, whatever way of worship they want, unless it is against the public order, everyone should have the right to follow whatever they want and whatever practice have in their life, whatever faith they want to follow. I would propose, I would suggest, I would wish people to come to freedom, to come out of all these kind of faiths. But at the end of the day, it's the choice of the individual. It's the person who decides whether he wants any religion, any faith, or any kind of tradition, any kind of idea, or any kind of thought. The freedom is with you. It's in your hand. And you have to decide, not your parents, not your priest, not your traditional books, not your holy book, not your caste, not your community, not your religion, not your state, but you. You are the custodian of your freedom. You are the custodian of your right of expression, and you are the custodian of your conscience. That's the fundamental idea of free thought and rational thought. And rational thought further goes forward towards scientific attitude. But that doesn't mean that the idea of freedom of thought restrains people in practicing or following their conscience. What we demand, what we ask, what we all ask is the right of every single individual to follow whatever they think right. That is freedom of thought, and that is freedom of expression, and that is freedom of conscience.